Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Paul, and I'm back with the second part of a three-part series where I'm going to go through and look at some potential investment opportunities for Diamond Dynasty. Now, the first video I did was golds and a couple silvers who could get elevated to diamond within the first couple of updates of 2017. We're not talking long range. I'm not saying get guys and then by September they'll be up. We're talking within the first 2 months. So if you want to be prepared to kind of keep them through May with these investments if they don't, unless they fall off completely, right? So for an example of somebody who was in that first video, if you didn't watch it, Jacob DeGrom. Very big on him this year. The ulnar nerve looks fine. I'm saying invest. I think he's going to be a diamond again. If he comes out in April and he's got a 5.60 ERA with 13 strikeouts and 13 walks in 25 innings or something, uh, bail, right? So let's be smart. I'm saying though, if they're performing, and we keep thinking, oh, they're gonna get it because they're performing well, stay the course. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, today I'm looking at silvers and maybe some bronzes. I made this list a while ago. I actually made it when I had the preview version before the game even released, and I was going to make all three videos then. I got behind. I didn't have time to make the other two, and then once the game released, we know the server issues we've been dealing with, so I didn't make them. So now I've made some time, and I'm ready to make both of them. So right now we're going to be looking at silvers and bronzes who could go to gold within the first couple months. First one is a repeat from the first video because I do think he could actually go silver to diamond. And it's a starting pitcher, Lance McCullers for the Houston Astros. And I'm not going to reiterate too much about him. I do recommend you watch that first video. First off, most people are most interested in trying to get somebody who's going to go to diamond, so I do recommend that. I apologize that the servers are probably going to be a little bit slow on this video, so bear with me, but I got plenty to say, so we'll be able to kind of pass the time while everything loads. But Lance McCullers is just a guy. Whoops, somebody doesn't know how to turn off their phone. Lance McCullers is just a guy who I think has absolutely amazing stuff, and it's that kind of profile that can jump multiple levels. And I'm not just talking silver to diamond. I'm talking about multiple theoretical baseball levels, right? He had about 85 innings last year, which is obviously not much. It's barely a half season. And, showed flashes, but still walked too many, would give up home runs at, inopportune times. He had his struggles. He had the ups and downs of somebody who was 22 years old. When you have talent like this, things can click quickly. You can make an alteration to your mechanics. You can get feel for a third pitch. Hell, one of your first two pitches, which are his fastball and I guess breaking ball. It's a curve, but it has slider. Like it can do everything. It's just one of those amorphous breaking balls. But if one of those somehow got better, or he got more feel for the changeup, and stayed healthy, then you're talking about a guy who goes from, hey, that was a lot of promise to a lot of performance. And so I'm very high on him this year. I'm not alone on that, but definitely see him as somebody who I absolutely love. And if things come together quickly, I think because he has pedigree as a stud prospect with devastating stuff, then SDS will be quick to move on him. I said I wasn't going to reiterate too much, and then I go on like a 20-minute rant about him. But I love talking about Lance McCullers. He's just such a beast. Next up is Garrett Richards, former guy who I believe's been gold at some point in the last couple of years. Probably right. I can't recall. I don't have as many vivid memories of 15's market as I do last year's and so far this year because I was a terrible player in 15. I loved playing. I still played a lot, but I wasn't in there on the market doing a whole lot, and I just wasn't that good of a player. So I can't remember if he got gold, but he certainly had gold tendencies now for a while. I think last year everyone realized that this was a damn good silver card. He appears fully healthy, ready to go. He had a situation where he was going to have to maybe get Tommy John last year. He said, no, I'll do this thing called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma treatments. It's something that's very popular in sports right now, baseball specifically. I don't know about other sports. I don't know anything about it beyond that. I can't tell you what that means, taking platelets and pumping them into something else. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it's supposed to help, and it's something that he did instead of getting Tommy John. Things are looking good, and if he is healthy, we're talking about a guy who can get back to the level that he was at a couple years ago when he was having his big breakout superstar season and then busted up his leg running out of play to cover first. So the talent's in there. We've already seen it. Next up is a guy who you might have already had some love for this year because you watched the WBC and you saw what Marcus Stroman was doing. Look at him with his game face on there. The dude's a beast. He's a grinder. You see that height right there, 5'8". He's got a motto, HDHM. Wait, yes, height doesn't. No, HDMH. Height doesn't measure heart. He's very big on, listen, I'm short. I can overcome. Don't let something like that hold you back because it doesn't mean anything. It can be good to be tall. It can also be bad. Tyler Glass now is like 6'11". I don't think he's quite that tall. But he's like 6'8", and he can't. His mechanics are kind of impossible. So he's like on the other end of things. Being tall doesn't guarantee success. And what Marcus believes is that being short doesn't preclude success. So anyway, really great pitcher. I think we saw a lot of the potential that he has in that WBC tournament. Really came up big. So another guy that we saw flashes from last year. There were some struggles, but there were adjustments and there were improvements. I love to see that from a guy who's really grinding it out and getting better all the time and not just falling back on, well, I'm a major leaguer, I have great talent, I should be amazing. Well, they're all major leaguers out there, and so they're all going back at you. So I like Marcus. I respect what he does with his game, and I think he could take it up another level. Next up is, for the Nationals, Joe Ross. And yes, he is related to Tyson Ross. They are brothers, and they're not twins, but they might as well be. Because he does a lot of what Big Bro does. He's basically Big Bro 2.0, and obviously for those of you who know 2.0, that means better. So he's like a better iteration of his brother. Basically, what the major difference is, there aren't a whole lot of differences. They got similar mechanics, they have similar arsenal, similarly devastating slider. But Tyson has never really had that third pitch. He's been fastball, slider, and he'll just beat you to death with that slider or blow it by you at 96, 97 when he's on. Joe is developing that changeup, and it's coming along, and if it gets that third pitch, he becomes a lot more challenging on lefties. When your fastball is slider, no matter how good your slider is, it can be tough against lefties because it kind of frisbees it. They get a longer look at it from that right side, and it can be a big challenge if you're not getting it, under their bat, under their hands there, kind of burying it on that back foot. And then there's the whole part of you got to be careful when you're going back foot because you can just hit him, and his stuff is so nasty that can happen. So having a changeup, having a pitch that's going to look like that 95-mile-per-hour fastball and then fade away back into the right-hand batter's box, that could be that could be so devastating for him. So there's a lot of upside here. He doesn't get a lot of pub because he's in a rotation with Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and even Gio Gonzalez is there, really good. And Tanner Roark doesn't get a lot of shine, but he's certainly shown more and been better than Joe to this point. But Joe is every bit as good as the other three. He's not quite as good as Scherzer and Strasburg, but he does have talent that maybe he could have a season that was like them. I don't think he would have a 5-year stretch like Strasburg and Scherzer. And that's kind of what separates aces from the other guys, is that a lot of pitchers can go out and have that amazing year where everything's working and they can do no wrong, and then they kind of fall off and you're like, well, what happened? He had it. It's like, it's just so hard to maintain. So I will say he could spike though and be the guy who looks more like a number 2, number 3 starter, despite being their 5 starter. This next guy, I love this guy. We're talking ace potential here on Carlos Martinez. This is a guy who, if I redid the video now, I might have put him on the Diamond video, if I'm being 100% honest. I'm just really excited about his potential outlook this year. He's a guy who's shown the pieces. He's shown the flashes of what makes an ace. And this could be the year where he really takes that step forward. Now, his last 2 seasons have been great, so I don't want to imply that he needs a lot of improvement or anything. If Carlos Martinez goes out and has another year just like the last 2, the Cardinals are going to be extremely happy. So please don't misunderstand me when I'm saying something like that. I'm just saying he could actually be even better, which is pretty unfair for the rest of the league because he's just gotten off of a 3.01 and 3.04 ERA with the skills to back it up. But I think we could see an over 200-plus inning season this year with over a strikeout per inning as well, because he has strikeout stuff, but he only had 8 strikeouts per 9 last year, and that's still good. Don't get me wrong. But when you see his talent, and if he had a 10 strikeout per 9 rate, nobody would be surprised. So I'm keeping a big eye out on Carlos Martinez out in St. Louis. Next up, I got him on the board here. And I had him on before he was back up at 95, 96, 97 recently, but I can't quit him. I can't quit Matt Harvey. Pardon me, I'm going to take a drink. My videos don't get edited to edit out things like that, so I'm just going to be real with you and let you know when I'm taking a quick drink instead of you thinking that I just have random 5-second pauses. Anyway, Matt Harvey, I can't quit him. The talent is too rich, and I know it was an awful season last year that led to and then he had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, which is kind of a new thing. Guys of his talent level haven't really gotten it. We don't really know yet. It's not quite on that Tommy John level, which, by the way, Tommy John is no certainty either. A lot of people treat it like, well, he got Tommy John, he'll be back and he'll be better than ever. Not always. Thoracic outlet is still in a situation where we don't always know that they're going to come back and be at their level. But I'm getting more confidence in Harvey after seeing some of the velocity readings toward the tail end of spring training. And again, this guy's been a diamond, so it's a lot easier to predict something like this because he's been there and he's going to have that benefit of the doubt, or not. That's not even the right phrase, really. It's almost like credibility. He's got something in the bank. He's got a pelt on the wall that says, "I've been a diamond already," and that's going to be in their minds if he comes out and he's firing. If Joe Ross goes out in his first 5 starts and he has a 2.0 ERA with 10 strikeouts per 9. And he's hitting 95 to 97 regularly, he's going to get an upgrade, but like a small upgrade. If Matt Harvey does it, I think they'd be more inclined to push him up the 2 levels, like give him like a big boost. Maybe not all the way up to, 90 now for Diamond, but pretty damn close. Like if he's allowing 5 hits per 9, and again, we're talking like 50, 60 innings, something like that. Even though that's a small sample, he's proven it. So if he looks back like the diamond guy that we've seen before, I think they'll be aggressive on him. So I'm going to get a couple Matt Harveys and just hang on to him just to see what's what. Next up is a guy that I still like, but I'm a little chilly on right now. Just a little. Again, we're talking with Danny Duffy moving him from, he was my 17th ranked pitcher for fantasy this year, down to about 22. So a small move, but I'm just a little... I'm taking a little bit of caution with some of his velocity ratings. They're coming down a little bit. He was working mid-90s last year, not just in the bullpen, but as a starter, and I really love that. But now he's kind of working more average of 93, which is not bad at all, especially from the left side. For those of you that don't know, you have a lower threshold to be great from the left side in terms of velocity. 93 from the left side is like about 91 and a half. Well, we'll just call it 91 from the right side in terms of quality. So there's a lower threshold to where you say, oh, that's acceptable from a lefty, or elite from a lefty. Anyway, so he's still working 93. So I'm not going to freak out too much, but I'm just keeping an eye on it. We saw him spike gold last year. Again, so it wouldn't be outrageous. I like these guys that have already done it too, because they're kind of easier investments, because you know it's going to be in the back of the mind of MLB The Show _tips, Luis, and the rest of the devs over there who do these things. They say, well, hey, we've seen him be a gold level pitcher, and he looks like the gold level guy now, even though it's only 5 weeks into the season, we'll bump him back up to gold. So again, just a couple shares of him I'm going to have in my portfolio. Nothing crazy. I know some of you out there, when you invest, you get like 80 of a guy or something like that. If you are at that level where you will get like 80 to 100 of some of these guys, I would say maybe 30 of Danny Duffy. I'm more of a guy who at max I'll get 7 to 10 of a guy. So for Duffy, it's going to be 2 to 3. Just a couple. Just want to have a couple in case he really spikes and I can make a quick little profit. Next up is a guy that everyone's talking about this year, and I'm very much on the James Paxton train. Was writing about him in the winter. Not saying I was first on the train, but definitely early. This guy saw the changes from last year. I was actually really excited when they spiked his velocity in season, because they don't do that a lot of the times. They don't mess with pitches and velocity and break and stuff. It's usually just the per nines. Well, I think they made an exception because he had and they made several exceptions throughout the year. I think he was part of the exception list because he had such a jump. He went up to 97 miles per hour on average. And I just got done telling you that from the left side, you get a little extra juice. So if you're going 97 from the left, that's, kind of on the level of like a Thor. Who does 98, 99 from the right side. So a lot of great stuff from James Paxton last year. He needs to put it all together though. Even with the velocity change and some added command last year, he still had his troubles. So he's still kind of figuring it out. He is 28 years old, but he's been around the block a few times because of injury. So and what I mean by that is he's got several seasons under his belt, but not a ton of innings because he continues to get injured. So he needs to stay healthy. He needs to show that last year's changes were legit, and we need to see the results. So I think at least a month you got to hang on to James Paxton, but it could be very profitable. This is a guy I would get quite a few shares of. Another guy, I do believe he's had gold in his career as recently as maybe last year, but definitely the year before. That's Michael Wacha, one of my favorite pitchers. I really love Michael Wacha, and the thing of it is it's never really been a question of Michael Wacha's skills. It's always been health. He seems to always get derailed by health. And so I'm sure some of you are asking, well, then what the hell's going to change and be so different about this year? And I don't know that it will, right? I can't predict that he's going to magically stay healthy this year. But I've always said this with regards to playing fantasy baseball. I'd rather bet on a skill set that's already in place that just needs to stay healthy, as opposed to the guy who is perfectly healthy but needs to greatly improve his skills, like add a pitch or learn how to hit for power or stop walking somebody, like have to have a major skill change or two to really pan out. Wacha's there. Wacha's got the talent. He just needs to stay healthy for 200 innings so we can actually see what he's all about. And so last year was a disaster, really fell off the rails at the end of the year. I think even some of it was out of the bullpen, and it just did not go well. His shoulder was not good, but he's healthy, looks good this spring. I'm very excited about him again. This is a guy who could be a major contributor for the Cardinals and really start increasing his rating pretty early into the year. Next up, we actually got to delete this guy. And I wasn't going to put him on either. And you know what? I should have stuck to my guns about this guy in fantasy. I moved him up in my rankings a little bit. I'll tell you the name in just a moment. Even though I didn't feel great about it, and I'll admit to this, it was a little of getting pressured by the market to where I didn't just stick to my value. I was like, well, everyone else is kind of in on this guy. What am I missing? Even though my big objection was that the dude never stays healthy. And I am talking about Drew Smyly. And I watched him as a Tiger. I was a big fan of him. I was so excited about him as a prospect. Tigers haven't had a lot of prospects in recent years because they always trade them for established pieces, and it's been great. The Tigers have had a really good run up until the last couple of years, so I understood it. Well, we developed him. I say, yes, I'm a guy who says we about my favorite team, whatever, deal with it. And I was really excited about the development, and great to see a nice young lefty who's going to be in the rotation for a while. Well, then they traded him for David Price, and I'm like, well, can't really object to that. It was for freaking David Price, and Price was excellent for the Tigers. They just couldn't win the World Series, man. It's a huge bummer because now they're kind of in a downslide, and I don't know. I think they could be all right this year, but if they don't do something this year, they gotta start burning it down. But anyway, Smyly was a guy that pretty much since leaving Detroit has not been able to stay healthy. He even had some injury issues in Detroit, but they really started to become more pronounced in Tampa Bay, and then so far before he's even thrown a pitch in Seattle. Now he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, and I didn't move him up that much in my rankings, but I should have just stuck to my guns. He's a guy I refused to draft, so I don't know why I moved him up, but I did. I fell for peer pressure, and I put him on this list under the same sort of thinking, well, if I'm wrong, we're going to miss him in the market too. So I'm kind of glad I didn't put this video out because you guys might have had some Smyly shares that are now worthless. But yeah, I'll take my L there. Should have listened to myself, stuck to my guns. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Get better, Drew. I'm not glad he's injured or anything like that. I'm just saying it's always a concern with him, and that's why I didn't really want to invest. All right, we got a couple of relievers, one closer, 3 relievers, and then some hitters. This is a longer one than the diamond one, and then the guys who can go from bronze and common to silver is really long, and I'll probably have to speed through those because I can't go on a whole speech on every single one of them, or that'll take forever. Well, I was actually going to go to the closer first, but since Edwin Diaz is one of them, we'll go ahead and stick with him. You guys probably already know about him. This guy's a total monster. Came out of, not out of nowhere. You might not have known him. He was not one of, well, let me back up. Depending on how much you follow prospects, you know Edwin Diaz or he surprised you. If you kind of like know a little bit about prospects, like you know Andrew Benintendi this year, Dansby Swanson, you might know Cody Bellinger out in LA, you know kind of like the top 10, the really strong guys and the guys for your favorite team. If that's the kind of level that you're at with prospects, then you didn't know about Edwin Diaz unless you're a Mariners fan. Because he was a pitching prospect of note, but he wasn't in that level of I'm trying to think. Oh, like Alex Reyes out in St. Louis, Julio Urias for the Dodgers. He wasn't quite at that level as a starter, and part of it was they just weren't sure if he was going to stick as a starter. Well, they went ahead and brought him up last year and said, you know what, we'll throw you in the bullpen. You've got two great pitches. We're not sure if you're going to get that third. Let's just see what kind of arm you got right now, and we'll use some of these bullets for the major league club. Well, turns out he has two amazing pitches, a four-seamer and a slider, and he was very capable of pitching in the final inning at the back end of the bullpen, and he had a monstrous season for them, and it looks like it's going to be his role. This is exactly what happened to Roberto Osuna. He was a starting prospect as well, of note, and it just wasn't quite clicking. So they gave him a shot in the bullpen. It worked, and now we see he's one of the more prominent closers in the game. Diaz is on that same path, maybe even better though, y'all. He's an absolute monster. I don't think it'll take much for them to push him to gold, because if he goes out and he's not allowing any hits and still striking everybody out, even the strikeout rate can move up, right? He's still got 4 points of growth there, but I think that hits per nine, if he's suppressing hits the way he did last year, he'll be in the 80s in no time. So he's an easy gold bet. I would definitely get multiple shares of Edwin Diaz. Now he's already kind of going at a gold price, but if he goes to gold, I mean, we've got to see how the market goes this year, because I know you can quick sell golds for 1,000, and right now if you buy these at 800, you're not going to make that much. But if you're a heavy investor, 200 subs, well, actually I got to figure out the tax too. Yeah, he would have to go up in price along with going to gold, but I guess he would, since he's already sitting here as a silver. So I think if he goes up to gold, it'd probably be at least 1,500, at least 2,000. So it wouldn't be a heavy growth stock in terms of like making gobs of money. It'd be great if he was like 700 right now, but I still think you can make something off of Edwin Diaz. All right. Oh yeah, so that's two closing pitchers and then two relievers. Okay. Next up is a guy we did in the other video who I said could go diamond, and it's just because Ken Giles is so nasty. Honestly, well, I don't want to say Edwin Diaz could too, because he only has 1 year. Giles been doing it for a minute. Well, what could really happen there is you see the hit 9 and the BB9. He could make major growth on both of those. The hit 9 especially. These guys, these closers that are devastating, when they get on a roll, you can't get anything off of them. You can barely get a scratch single, let alone a double in the gap. So if he comes out and he's not allowing any hits, basically if he has the opposite of the April he had last year, it's a GG for the rest of the league, and they're going to bump that up to like 85 something. And if he's not walking anybody, and we can get that into the 60s, ooh, now we're talking. So Ken Giles, easy gold, potential diamond. All right, this one a little bit blown in terms of not so sneaky anymore, which I'm okay with because that card looks amazing. But Brad Brock's my dude, and for those of you who watch my stream, I was big on Brad Brock last year. I loved using him, even up in the CS, even though he was just a silver. And you see, they rewarded him with an amazing breakout or an all-star card last year that I'm really excited about. I need to get this card in my life and in my rotate or in my bullpen. But you see, we've still got an 80 of live series. And this is a huge investment opportunity as far as I'm concerned. They've already shown that they respect him enough to give him a gold. If he goes out and he repeats, well, how can they not move this one up closer to this level? And he's only going for $150 right now. In fact, you know what? Let's I'll buy this one right here, and then I'll put in a buy. We're live, y'all. We're live buying right now. Let me put in some orders here. I'll give somebody 124. Get a couple orders here. Because he's such a monster. Yeah, let me get a few. Let me get a few of those going. Anyway, love Brad Brock. Think you guys should be using him right now, especially early. I know some people already have super teams because they've been grinding their butts off or they bought a bunch of packs. Which, by the way, I'm not shading. I buy packs, man. Do whatever you want with your cash. I'm going to make a quick rant on this. If you're mad about people who spend money on the game, you need to check yourself. It's absolutely ridiculous. If it wasn't for those people, the game wouldn't be as good. They help fund the game, you morons. So don't be salty. Don't be jealous. Don't worry about it. First off, baseball is a game where, yes, the cards do matter. I'm not going to say that the best player with all commons, well, maybe Pitching Rebel or Cardinal Bird could beat somebody with a common team if they were going up against an all-diamond team. But by and large, you can overcome. If you run into a team of all diamonds and you got a bunch of golds and silvers on inside edge, it's not going to be that far apart, and it's still going to come down to the skill. So I don't know where the salt comes from. I think it's just jealousy or whatever. It's time to stop. You got to stop doing that. Stop trying to shame people who spend money on the game. It is a great thing when people spend money on the game. You should want everybody who can to be out there pumping their cash into this game. First off, it just makes it better in general that there's people playing and very active about it. But it's also helping fund the changes that we want and the improvements that we want. You know, if we can get people to go out and buy a bunch of 50 bundles, maybe they can improve the servers. So don't worry what other people do with their money either. That's silly. Anyway, end rant. Brad Brock's a beast. And we got one more reliever whose status is changed a little bit. I'll explain here in a moment on Addison Reed. Let's see where he's at. Oh, the market's keen on him. That's that's a solid silver price because they know he's good and he's right on the cusp there of gold. But anyway, Jeurys Familia got a 15-game suspension after his domestic violence issue. I haven't fully read up on it, so pardon me if there's details that I've missed, but it seems that there may have been a situation where this was not as bad as when you hear domestic violence as we normally think with Jeurys Familia's case, and that's coming from his wife. Now, again, I don't have all the details, so I'm not speaking on it too far. And if there are things that I'm missing, please educate me in the comments. I'm open to that. But the things I've read, paragraphs, tidbit paragraphs here, not a full-scale article or anything, but it seemed to suggest that this wasn't quite how it might have been built up as heinous of an act as you might have thought. Because when I hear domestic violence, I'm usually pretty heated on the negative side. You know, don't put your hands on a woman. You need to, or anybody really, not man or woman. Don't touch people. You know, especially aggressively. Don't hit people. But anyway, it's looking like it wasn't as bad as originally reported on Jeurys Familia, and so the league still had to give him a suspension because he still did get arrested and there was still something, but not to the level where he needed to have as long of a suspension. So he's only got 15 games, and so Reed's only going to have like a couple week audition to be the closer. I was originally thinking if this was going to be like a 30-50 game sort of deal, Addison Reed could beast out in the closer's role and just take it, just own it, but circumstances have changed. I still love this card. I still think that there's a good chance that it could upgrade. He was amazing last year, and if he continues on what he did last year, they're going to be ready to upgrade him because he's still working off a bad year from a couple years ago, but last year was tremendous. All right, we got some hitters. We're going to start with one that we did cover last time, so I'll just say that George Springer was on the diamond one, and if you want to hear more about him, wait, what? Oh, he's center field. George Springer was on the diamond one, so if you're interested in hearing more about him, please check out that other video. He's just a monster. And a multifaceted game is definitely an easier way to get upgraded too. If he can start running again, much better than he did last year. He was 9 for 19. His fielding is great, and if they improve that, and he has hitting. So hitting, fielding, speed guys, obviously they have 3 avenues to really improve. That's why I like George Springer. Next up, speaking of all-around guys, Kevin Kiermaier. Again, a guy we've seen be gold before, and he's on the cusp right now, so it's not too hard to envision him getting gold pretty quickly. And I have some hope of a really big season at the dish. And so I'm reluctant to say this, but I'm going to say it. I do think he's a fringe diamond potential. Now, I didn't put him on the video because the ones I put on the video are a little bit I'm more committed to, and I'm saying go out and invest. This is more of it's a hunch feeling sort of deal, and if you want to invest on that, that's fine. But I'm not going out saying I really believe this is going to happen and it's going to happen within 2 months. If he was diamond, I think it would be a situation where he would need to do it for 3 months. You know, we'd have to see it through June, and then maybe around the All-Star break, we're talking diamond. So keep that in mind. But for gold, I think that's too easy. This one took a hit, and I'm super bummed. But I'm gonna keep him on. I still want to get a mention about him, and it's Gregory Polanco. Oh, I guess he's left field. Pardon me. And let's see here. He's an 83. So, well, this is what's got me bummed. His shoulders flared up, and it's problematic. Apparently, he has a shoulder issue that has bothered him since he dove for a play, and it crops up every once in a while, and it's flared up right now. Obviously, he's put up the numbers he has the last couple of years with it, so that's kind of a positive. But if he kind of battles through it regularly, it might be something that just kind of keeps him at this good, not great level. He's been gold before. He's only 2 points away. It's not hard to envision. He had a great WBC. He's a monster. He's going into, I believe, his third or fourth full season. There's so much to like. The shoulder is a little bit worrisome, but I'm still getting some shares for sure on Gregory Polanco. El Cafe. All right, next up, what did I just hit? Oh. Next up's an oldie. And I don't know exactly where he's going to be. Oh, did our other Brock order? I think those are our Brock orders going through. Where they put him at right? Okay. Next up is Bautista. He's looking healthy early on. There's a little WBC flair here as well with Polanco and Bautista, but he's looking healthy early on. And the thing is, the fielding is not going to be what gets him there. We saw, in fact, they should probably drop his arm down. I know I'm suggesting to invest in him for an upgrade, but they should probably move that arm rating down. I'm whispering, by the way, because his arm's not an 86 anymore. But he has obscene power, some of the best power in the entire league. And if he's out there crushing, staying healthy, and just hitting tanks, and he's got 15 through the first 2 months or something, I think we're getting an upgrade back into the 90s for both of those. So just keep an eye on Bautista. I don't think he's gonna get to diamond because that fielding's gonna hold him back. But I certainly think gold's a strong possibility. All right, this is one of my favorite ones here. Marcell Ozuna, where you at? You in center, right? Oh, left. Okay. So I got Marcell Ozuna. He's at an 81 right now. He devastates lefties, although they bumped him down a bit from last year. I think he was just worse. I mean, they didn't. I say that as if they did it. No, he fell back against lefties, so he got bumped down a little bit. But he's shown prowess before to just smash lefties. And he was actually showing some good work against righties. He was having his breakout year last year. Then he got a wrist injury that lingered and really affected his numbers the rest of the way out. And if that's good, if he's healthy from that, and signs point to yes so far, then we're ready to go. We're ready to go with Ozuna, and we can get to gold pretty quickly in the season, especially if he comes out devastating righties. So keep a close eye on Ozuna. He's got the defense. He's got halfway decent speed, but he's already good against lefties. He could become much better against them, but righties is his big growth opportunity. All right, I'd be remiss if I didn't put this guy on. I'd be remiss if I was, just ignoring the potential of one Garanthal Sanchez. That's what Gary's short for, right? Garanthal. Anyway, you already know. You know what he's about, man. Look at this. He gets an 84 after what he did last year, and I get it. It is a small sample, and he could fall back, and he could kind of embarrass them. But I don't, and by that I mean San Diego for showing the early faith in him. But I don't even think it would be really embarrassing. I understand why they did it. He showed why he had such pedigree coming up. And yes, it was a small sample, but the magnitude of the sample means something. And so I think that that's why they gave him such a good rating. Getting to gold would not be very difficult. All right, I got 3 more. I know this is getting a little long on this one. Maybe I'll split up the other video because it's got like 15 more guys than this video does. Sorry, y'all. All right, next up is Anthony Rendon. Are you at third? Yes, there he is. Now he has been gold recently again, so this is another one of those where I'm saying get back to gold. But hey, the investment opportunities there, just because they've already been there, I don't think it makes them any lesser of predictions, because again, they're going to be more inclined to do it. If anything, these are the better ones. These are the safer bets. This guy's a hitter, man. The only thing that's ever stopped this guy has been injury, and it's been a big deal though. He got hurt back at Rice when he was in college, so injuries have been a part of Anthony Rendon's career forever. In fact, they moved him down. Injuries cost him potentially being the #1 overall pick, and it ended up being a boon for the Nationals because he went 6th when he had no business lasting till 6th, but people were worried about his health, and that has panned out a bit in the majors. He has had injuries, but he's also been great, so pretty easy to go ahead and take him at 6 at that point. But there's a lot to like here. Solid defense and growth potential in the power. He's going to be age 26, right around the time that power can start to mature. If he's healthy, watch out. Love this guy. Love this next guy big time. Maikel Franco, what a monster. And one great thing about him is he doesn't strike out. He's early on got this Edwin Encarnacion profile where not only does he have great power, but he doesn't strike out. And to combine those two things, the ability to make contact and amazing contact, a lot of times power hitters struggle because of 2 reasons. One, they'll get deep into counts looking for their pitch to drive, so you're just going to be more inclined to get struck out if you're taking 7 pitch at bats regularly. But also because they're swinging for the fences, right? You're swinging harder. It can be a little bit of a slower swing, and you'll swing through some stuff. Well, few guys can have great power while also making a lot of good contact and making sure it's not cheap, weak contact. And Maikel Franco's shown to be one of those guys so far. I think his contact rate should already be higher personally, but there's a lot of growth potential here, particularly against righties, but even against lefties. A lot to like here. I would tab him as another fringe diamond contender here, but again, we would be talking July, August, so that's why he didn't get on the first video. Last guy here, wrap up this video. Another guy who, notice a lot of these center around health, and it goes back to what I said earlier. I'll bet on a skill set that just needs to stay healthy as opposed to vice versa. Devon Travis exemplifies that perfectly. The dude has not been able to stay healthy at all, but when he plays, he is a monster. I'm so glad the Tigers traded him away for Anthony Gose. Sweet move. And it's easy to dog it out in hindsight, but I will be honest. First off, you can probably find tweets where I was dogging it when it happened. I didn't like it when it happened, but also there was talk of moving Devon Travis to the outfield to cover the fact that the Tigers needed a center fielder anyway. He's a second baseman. It's not implausible to move a guy like that out to center field or even right field or anywhere in the outfield really, but center field to second base to center field is not a crazy move. And so if they could have done that, they don't have to trade for stupid Anthony Gose, and they can just see if Devon Travis can develop as a center fielder and keep that great bat. He would have been worse defensively than Gose, probably. Well, maybe actually Gose. He's just a disaster, Gose is. I'm sorry, Gose. If you're watching this, Anthony Gose, first off, I don't know why you're not practicing baseball. This is probably why you're bad if you're watching this, but I'm sorry, dude. You're not that great at baseball compared to your peers. And Devon Travis is just a monster. He's put up 19 homers, a 301 average, 92 runs scored, 85 ribbies in 163 career games. So basically a full season, but he's had to do it in 2 seasons. So he needs to stay healthy, but there's a lot of growth, particularly with that power. Invest in Devon Travis. Anyway, that's the list. It's a lengthy one, and I apologize if you don't like the long video. Actually, I don't apologize. I'm sorry. I hate when I do that. These are going to be some long videos. I know they got a little bit long. Maybe I should break them up into 2 bits. Like here's Here's this one was 22 people. Well, maybe I go 11 and 11, or maybe I go hitters and pitchers just to break it up, because I know sitting here for however long it is maybe tough to watch all at once. But I'm going to run down the list here. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Sorry. Lance McCullers, Garrett Richards, Marcus Stroman, Joe Ross, Carlos Martinez, Matt Harvey, Danny Duffy, James Paxton, Michael Wacha, Ken. Oh wait, did I say? Oh no, I did eliminate Drew Smiley. Ken Giles, Addison Reed, Edwin Diaz, Brad Brock, George Springer, Kevin Kiermaier, Gregory Polanco, Jose Bautista, Marcelo Ozuna, Gary Sanchez, Anthony Rendon, Devon Travis, and Michael Franco. These are the guys I believe that are silvers that could go up to gold, and I even gave you a few fringe diamonds for long-term investments. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to have MLB 17 content all year long, including I'm going to be starting my pitcher gameplay videos pretty soon, where I take different silvers and golds. I don't have any diamond pitchers just yet, and put them into games. Show you what they're all about. Let you know how I feel about them. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching.